Yo, what's good, Knicks Nation? Salute. We got a good win tonight. The New York Knicks faced the Toronto Raptors at Madison Square Garden. But before we got into this game, we had to give that standing ovation for Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett, and rightfully so, because, look, these guys were important for the turnaround for the New York Knicks to get them out of the dark times. But after we gave them the ovation, we actually had to get into a game, right? And unfortunately, it started a little ugly at first. All the turnovers, all the misconnections that you wanted to see, just so sloppy. There was even little defense to start off, and so we had a close one between the Knicks and the Toronto Raptors to start off with. But hey, the Knicks were able to clean that up, even though they gave up 21 points off of turnovers in the first half. You had Donte DiVincenzo, you had Jalen Brunson, you had Julius Randle putting on quite the performance. I mean, Jalen Brunson dropped 38 points. Most of his damage was done in the second half. You had Julius completing his triple-double in the third quarter, and then you had some efficient scoring from Donte DiVincenzo in the third as well to help move this thing along. And then you got to see why we traded for OG Anunoby, because he put the clamps on the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors had no response for all that good defense and for the hot shooting from the New York Knicks in that second half, which is why they would ultimately lose. The Knicks would win this game 126-100. So let's discuss and get your reactions. Make sure to tap in through the Discord tonight. That's where we're taking our calls tonight. I'm your host, Trataros, aka the Tratacaster. With me on the other side is none other than my guy, Jeffrey Campbell, KFTV writer, KFTV Geoff as we call him. And this show is sponsored by HelloFresh and Underdog Fantasy. Woo-wee! Woo-wee! This was a good one, man. It's nice to see that, RJ and Quick are doing well with their new team, but much better to get the win, Geoff. It's much better to get to win. So how are you feeling?
Alex, listen, I'm feeling fantastic. This was a classic big brother, little brother game. And on one side, you had Julius and Jalen Brunson, guys that the front office and coaching staff decided to build around. And then you had RJ and IQ, guys that we have a lot of respect for, guys that were drafted here, guys that grew up here. But ultimately, the front office and coaching staff decided that if we wanted to reach a certain level of ceiling for this team, that, we had to lose those guys. And listen, interestingly enough, Big Brother came down and certainly made a statement. It was really interesting to see how the game went. You could tell that RJ and IQ were ready to go, were really animated and pumped up. RJ specifically, I remember he had that first dunk in the first quarter, flexed a little bit. He's showing his personality. But ultimately, they caught the L and by quite a large margin. So it was interesting to see that. Great game, a lot of great sports theater. Listen, man, if it's a Saturday night and if you're not going to be out with your friends, your girl, your man, whatever, if you stayed home and you watched this game, this is exactly what you wanted to see as a Knicks fan. We paid homage, we showed respect to RJ and Quickly. They had individually pretty good games for themselves. But the Knicks won because we're the better team. And ultimately, that's what mattered. So all in all, a great night if you're a Knicks fan.
Absolutely. It was a great night if you're a Knicks fan. I mean, look, yeah, Jalen Brunson, like I said, dropped 38 points. Dude just put on another masterclass performance again, man, leading this team when it comes to scoring, just showing that he can be a relentless dog on the offensive side because no one can stop him, man. He's putting up numbers. He's showing why he should be an all-star this year. He's showing you why he should even be an all-NBA consideration this season because of the way that he is shooting, all right? And then you also had Julius Randle out there with a triple-double, 18 points, 16 boards, 10 assists. Look, Julius had an efficient night. All right, 7 for 13 from the field, but was able to contribute in other ways. That's what you like to see, man. And just going back to this trade, like you have to look at how OG has just opened everything up for both Brunson and for Randle because they look much better with OG for the spacing that he gives, the defense that he plays, right? You don't need to have Julius playing the tough assignment. Right, you got to see, even though Julius had Scotty Barnes, you see OG was able to switch back between Scotty, RJ, whoever, the defensive assignment need be. But that's what OG does. He relieves Randle and even Brunson of some of the stuff that they are not necessarily good at, so that way they can focus on being great in their areas. But, you know what? It was cool to see RJ and Quick. Salute to them, man, because they did put in work for the Knicks. But you can see how young and how it's just like a rebuilding team for Toronto, because if it's not getting easy transition scoring, which is usually how young teams thrive, it was hard for them to work in the half court. And their defense is also just woeful. Granted, they also don't have a center, but hey, it was a good performance. What did you think before we get into more of the game? I want to know what your thoughts were about the tribute video that they got after the first time out.
Really good, man. Classic move from the Knicks. I definitely think IQ is probably the more emotional of the two. You could see that when they played the tribute video, he had his eyes closed. It seemed like maybe he was trying to hold back some emotions a little bit. That's tough to watch, man. I mean, like Knicks fans, if you've read the article that IQ wrote in the Players Tribune, you can see really what it really means to be traded. The trials and tribulations that NBA players go through. Granted, listen, they're paid millions of dollars and they live lives that most of us can only dream of, but these are very real things that they go through, and it was tough to see that a little bit. And you could tell RJ wanted this a lot too, but listen, overall very classy move by the Knicks. What they did before, during the intros, what they did with the tribute video. Obviously, members of the front office and the coaching staff, including the players, had a lot of interactions with them during the game. So it was a good feel. I didn't feel that there was any bad blood there, and ultimately we came out with the win, which is what matters.
Absolutely. And it was just interesting that RJ thought that there was going to be booze. I'm like, really? I didn't think there was going to be booze, and I didn't think that was going to happen at all. But hey, I thought it was classy too. I didn't know if they were going to get a tribute video. I feel like sometimes in this new sports age, there's a lot of tribute videos for not so good reasons, but I thought tonight was a good reason based on if you just know the context of the Knicks and the history and like the success that you had with those two guys and how they, as Randall said in the post game, how they grew up here, how they thrived here, and stuff like that. I thought it was much needed. But getting back to the Knicks, man, Brunson, I gotta get back to Brunson, man, because he had a fire night. What were your thoughts about his 38 performance, and just where do you think, like, obviously all-star, we see where he is. He's like 6th most recently in that list. He should be higher just for the numbers that he's putting out. But it's just phenomenal, man. Just when you continue to watch Brunson and what he's doing at this level, because shout out to Tommy Beer. He tweeted this out, and these were stats prior to tonight's game. Let me just get it so my stuff is refreshing. Jalen Brunson, prior to tonight, he had the more points than Nikola Jokic or Tatum, more assists than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Dame Lillard, more three-pointers than Donovan Mitchell or James Harden, higher plus-minus than Luka Doncic or Kevin Durant, higher three-point percentage than Steph Curry or Buddy Hield, and drew more charges than any other player in the NBA. This was 2 nights ago. This is before last night's games where all these stats were updated, right? So this is, if we go through it now, it's definitely outdated. But just to even see at a point that Brunson was doing all this during a regular season while we're at the halfway point, like, I think people need to put some respect and move him from star to superstar, because these type of numbers are insane.
Listen, Alex, you said it best, brother. Like, first off, let's talk about the distributing factor of Jalen Brunson. So, a lot of people, Knicks fans included, really like to criticize Jalen Brunson because they say he's not a true point guard. He's a score first guard. And yeah, that's true to an element, right? But since OG Anunoby has come to this team, Jalen Brunson, and I haven't done the numbers within the last 2 games, but he's been averaging about 8.6 assists per game. And that's very key and important because it shows you that the skill, there's no skill deficit in Jalen Brunson's ability to find open players. But when you have the lane clogged by other guys that like to drive or maybe can't shoot, so they have to stay in the dunker spot, that is a big key to Jalen Brunson's game, that now because OG's here and RJ's not, he is able, OG's a willing cutter. He's going to be out on the wing. And Jalen is going to be able to find teammates at an easier clip, and we've seen that. If you just look at the numbers, I think before OG came here, he was averaging around 6.6 or 6 assists a game. It's gone up, and that's going to open things up for this offense. But what I really want to say about Jalen is, like, again, it goes back to what I'm saying in the beginning of this show. This is big brother, little brother game. A lot of people earlier in the week leading up to this game like to talk about, oh, IQ. You know, when he was talking about people that he really appreciated in this team, he didn't mention Jalen Brunson. I don't really know if that has any legs to it or not. I probably believe that they had a pretty good relationship. Jalen Brunson doesn't seem like the type of guy that has bad relationships with anybody on the team. But who knows, right? I don't. But all I'm saying is, you know, IQ, you know, he didn't sign an extension with the Knicks. And I'm not saying I blame him. You should get what you think that you're worth. And, you know, he clearly fancied himself as a starter in this league, and he has that opportunity now. But, you know, call me a hater or not, Jalen showed you that there's levels to this, and you're not exactly there yet. And that's exactly what he did by dropping 38 tonight in a win. And the Raptors did their best to guard him, and they couldn't. And Jalen Brunson showed you exactly who he is, and that's an all-star and most likely an all-NBA player in this league this year.
Do you think Jalen Brunson should be a starter in this year's All-Star game?
Nah, I can't go there. Here's the thing. I'm gonna say this, and Knicks fans are really gonna kill me. I don't. Yeah, bro. I'm sorry. I have to go here, but I don't believe that he is better than either Donovan Mitchell or Trae Young. I know people are going to be like, wait a minute, Geoff.
Wow.
Yes, I know. Alex, I know that's sacrilege, but I know people are going to be like, listen, Jalen Brunson just, you know, showed Donovan Mitchell up in a playoff series. I don't think people realize, you know, Trae Young is a really, really exceptional guard, and he's extremely good. And obviously, he can't guard a chair, but his ability to find teammates and create his own shot is really exceptional. The Atlanta Hawks are just not a great team. But Jalen Brunson should absolutely be on that team, but I don't know that he's above either of those two yet. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
You are getting cooked in the chat, my man, and rightfully so. To say he shouldn't start over Jalen Brunson, over Donovan Mitchell, man, he's cooked. First of all, I know it's a new season. Every year it's based on what we've seen this season, but he ain't. Brunson's way better than Trae Young, in my opinion. And then on top of that, 1,000%, 1,000%. And then on top of that, he's owned Donovan Mitchell.
Right, but Alex, you have to be honest too, and say that's not just a factor of a one-on-one matchup. That's a product of the teams that they've been on too. If you're telling me that the Utah Jazz are so much worse, you know, the Dallas Mavericks were pretty good on Luka Doncic. It's not like, I know he was hurt for some of those games, but like, I mean, you know, it's not exactly. Listen, I love Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson is probably my favorite Knick since Patrick Ewing and Melo. But, you know, I don't know, man. I got to call it the way I see it.
Man, you're getting roasted. You're getting made a tomato soup. Making ketchup out of you, man, in the chat. Good God. We're gonna keep this thing moving. Brunson should be a starter right now, man. Point blank, period. The way that he's performing right now, got to be a starter. And he's leading his team to wins, got to be. That's the other thing that we got to take in consideration. My guy Geoff, you got to take in consideration the wins and where you have them. Knicks are right now 5th. Hawks are 10th. Nah. We see what happens when Brunson is out. This team looks like it's stuck in mud. We just saw them play against the Memphis Grizzlies. They were stuck in mud. We saw them play the game after that. They looked like they were stuck in mud. 2 games in a row. We lost to the Orlando Magic without him. You know what I mean? The Orlando Magic are a fine team. Don't get me wrong, but we needed him. And you saw what that team was like. I can't, man. I can't. I absolutely can't. So we got to move this thing along before everyone else just decides to keep making ketchup out of you in the chat. Tomato soup, tomato bisque, whatever it is. Looks like people are about to can you, bro. Woo! Can you? But, hey.
I'll be all right.
Hey, it is what it is. So let's talk about Julius Randle, though. that triple-double because he also had a monster performance. He had a monster performance tonight as well. What have you thought about Julius this game and the season so far?
I would say Julius, the first half was really rough. So listen, if anyone knows his spin moves, it's going to be RJ and IQ, right? And he committed a lot of turnovers off those spin moves. Decision making was rough in the first quarter. He cleaned it up in the second half, man. Like, if anything you want to say about Julius Randle is that the best part about him this season is that if he has a rough game in the early going, it doesn't mean that that's how he's going to finish the game. Last year, you couldn't say that. Even though his counting stats were ultimately pretty positive, his decision making and his processing of the game, if he had a rough start, that's usually how he finished the game. But he was really good in the second half, and that doesn't mean that he's scoring the ball. It means that he's setting up others, he's playing good defense. He's rebounding the ball. I've loved Julius Randle's game this year, and for mostly reasons that don't have to do with statistics, just they have to do with his mental game and the way that he's stayed true to himself, and that he's played good defense. He's rebounded the ball. He's looked to set up his teammates. He's been good with decision making in transition. Loved what Julius did this game.
Yeah, I thought tonight Julius's game was on point, just from everything, man. I mean, when you look at these statistics tonight, you just saw that he was able to take advantage of a porous Toronto Raptors defense just by finding his teammates, grabbing the boards, but then also knowing when to get timely scores as well. Like, he didn't need to put up the 30-point performances that we've seen in the past, and I liked what he's done so far. And this is why, this is a good evolution in Julius again, right? Because we've seen him when he first went to the playoffs and led the team, that how he can shoulder the entire team on his back, right? And carry a team to the playoffs. Then we saw him adjust, and just instead of being that guy that worked 15 feet in from just attacking the rim and mid-range jumpers, he continued to improve as a jump shooter, right? Even though it wasn't the prettiest jump shooting that we saw the second time he was an All-NBA All-Star, he still did it, right? And now he's transformed again, being this downhill force. And then on top of that, he's improved his playmaking. He's just become more aware as a star as what he needs to do on a nightly basis. Sure, he'll have the turnovers. Sure, he can give you some head-scratching plays. But you're going to get some of that for most players, in my opinion. And the way he's doing it this season, man, it's just been phenomenal. So I like what Julius has been doing so far. It's definitely been a revelation this season, and he definitely deserves to be. I mean, he's not even he's dropped in voting, man. He's still in the top 10. He was even top 10.
Today's the last day of fan
That was
voting,
insane.
Man. Listen, all fans, you got to get out there. Today's the last day of fan voting. If you can, please vote for Julius Randle. Jalen Brunson, of course, too. We got to get our guys in there.
For sure. Salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in to KFTV Postgame Live. I'm your host, Alex Trataros. With me on the other side is my guy, Jeffrey Campbell. He's one of the writers for the KFTV website. You can catch him here and catch his articles, especially for his pulse checks. Make sure to go catch that, and make sure to support our sponsors, HelloFresh and Underdog Fantasy. All right, we're going to get to the Discord, so make sure to download the app, go to the website, whatever you need to do in order to call in and give us your takes. All right, and we're going to go to the Discord right now. We got Aussie. We got Aussie on the line. Aussie, what's going on? How are you feeling today?
What's going on, Alex? How are you, Geoff?
We're doing well, man. We're doing well. What'd you think about this game tonight?
Man. I mean, look, it started. There was some people in the chat, pretty frustrated about the start. It looked pretty scary, but I mean, they cleaned it up. Julius Randle had a way better second half. The doubles slowed down, and he actually took his time and looked for correct passes, which was good to see. I think iHeart going down. I'm not sure if we've heard much about that, but I hope he recovers quick and he's back very, very soon.
For sure, yeah. iHeart going down is something we need to touch on. That was I know he tweaked his ankle a little bit and wasn't able to play for the rest of the game, but hey, hopefully he's healthy and fine, because we're going to have Precious as the next man up as the starting center. And, he had a nice double-double tonight, but we definitely need iHeart back in that starting lineup.
For sure, I just want to see consistency from Precious. It's like we either get an amazing player or we get someone that shouldn't even be on the court. But anyway, I'm going to keep it rapid fire. I'm out of here. But Geoff, what are you drinking?
Oh, Appleton Estate.
Okay. 'Cause some of them takes are getting a bit risky. Anyway, love from Australia.
Wait. What did you say?
He says he's saying your takes getting a little frisky, man.
I
You know,
got you.
yeah,
Getting a little risky, man.
I feel you. I understand, but listen, I gotta call it the way I see it, man.
Appreciate.
Fair enough. I completely don't agree, but anyway, love from Australia, Melbourne.
Appreciate the call, Ozzy. Appreciate the call, Geoff. What did you think about iHeart going down, man? Not being able to return in the rest of the game.
Oh, dude. I mean, for this game, it didn't really have that much of an effect, but going forward, it's could be potentially massive. I mean, if you have to give those starter minutes to Precious and then throw Sims in there, I don't know what Tibbs would do. Part of me thinks that maybe he would start Sims and keep Precious with the second unit. But either way, I mean, it would really hurt our defense, which is crazy to think because Isaiah Hartenstein prior to this season wasn't really known as a defensive player, but has really asserted himself as such in Mitchell Robinson's absence and has been great for us as a rim protector, has been great with rotations, guarding the pick and roll. So, I mean, if we're going to miss him for, a substantial amount of time, I'm hoping that the Knicks will be like somewhat conservative with this and it's a sprained ankle, right? So he's going to miss at least a couple of games. I don't think he's going to just come back. I would like to keep him out for maybe a week just because we know that Mitch ain't coming back, at least for the foreseeable future until the latter end of the season. So I would like for the Knicks to be conservative and keep him out for at least a week. And hopefully that doesn't really kill our win-loss record. We have a lot of games at home, so I hope we can do well with that. But, yeah.
Yeah, I'm concerned about iHeart, man, just because the center depth continues to dwindle down. And, like what he's given us on offense and defense so far in Mitch's absence has been so critical. I mean, you just see the free-flowingness of this offense when you have iHeart out there being able to pass out of the high post, right? Also, you just see his ability on just being even a solid rebounder, just like Mitch, while he's been in the starting rotation. So we need iHeart. We need iHeart back, man. Like he just helps connect this offense through and through. And it just to see Precious, I guess it's against the Toronto Raptors, so he's able to thrive against his former team. They don't have a lot of center depth out there outside of Pirtle, but to moving forward with Precious for even just a small stint. We will have to see, but I'm not confident because in the previous games, Tibbs has even played him over 10 minutes unless it's a complete washing of the other team. So I'm all concerned. Hopefully he's okay to play the next game because we need him for the continued success of this season, even though the Knicks got the win tonight. Shout out to Epicness. Welcome to the franchise channel membership, and also shout out to Gary Riker for the $5 super chat. And looks like we're getting a grocery store, Geoff, because they are still giving you vegetables, man. They are still giving you vegetables in the chat. We're getting tomatoes, we're getting everything. We can open up a grocery store, man. Sheesh. This is what happens when you say Trae Young. This is what happens when you say Trae Young should be a starter over Jalen Brunson, man. We just get the whole supermarket thrown in the chat. So thank you. I guess I can go home. Don't have to do any grocery shopping anymore. And thanks, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate the help. These bills, especially with the child, is starting to stack up, man. I know
how that goes.
Yeah. Let's get back to the Discord, man. We got Cody Glock on the line. Cody, what's going on, man? Glock. How you feeling?
I'm here.
Oh yeah, you're on. You're here, Cody. What's going on, man? What were your thoughts about this game?
Everything great. Everything. What up, Geoff? What up, Alex? Man, game was crazy, man. I ain't got a lot about it, like how we started off for the pack, but second half we ramped it up. Shout out Manscaped, man. I average 0 turnovers because of Manscaped, man. I take care of my ball profusely with the utmost friction in my mixing. Yo, my OG. I haven't been talking about him when I've been calling up, man. Today, I'm going to talk about OG Anunoby. OG, triple OG, double OG, triple OG Anunoby. This guy, man, is a defensive monster, bro. Like nothing gets past him. Ever since we added him to our team, he's been the same thing Mitch has been for us, but on the perimeter. And that's crazy. I never would have thought the Knicks would have got a person like this. I never seen the Knicks have a person like this since probably somebody like Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason. Before I was even watching, I was a baby. I wasn't even born when they was in the finals and Patrick missed that layup. I wasn't born. We got OG, triple OG, double double, triple OG. Geoff, tomatoes, mad tomatoes. You said Trey Young start over Jalen Brunson, tomatoes,
He's averaging
tomatoes. But
27 and 10, Cody. Come on, man. I love Jalen Brunson, but we got to be serious, man. Come on.
it's not a crazy take. I love the Knicks, and the chat is gonna kill you. It's not a crazy take,
It's
bro.
whatever. I
Like you're
understand.
actually
I
kind of
understand.
right, but at the same time, Jalen Brunson, I'll take Jalen Brunson over Trey
I
Young
feel you.
any
I
day.
feel you.
But I'm and like this, right? Yo, Dante Lee, he's been playing magnificent, bro.
Hmm.
Dante, every time I see him open for a three, I'm very confident that it's going in. I haven't had this feeling about the Knicks in a long time, man. Like really, I really think we could get to the Eastern Conference Finals and spank people. Shout out Nikki Pipes. Shout out Chuck D, ma. Shout out CP was at the game, ma. Shout out Alex, ma. Shout out CP Free Throws. Shout out JD. Get back JD, ma. Shout out Geoff and his take. Shout out everybody, ma. I'm out, ma. Peace, ma.
And that was Cody Glock on the line. Man, you should have made better choices tonight, Geoff. Should have made better choices tonight on choosing Trey Young. But
Yeah,
hey,
I'll be all right.
hey, you just we already know what camp you're in. I mean, even Daniel decided to put the the takes are hot on your side of the screen. Look at that. Even with the tomato, look at that. Daniel with the phenomenal graphic work as
Phenomenal graphic.
always.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal graphic work. But you know what, Geoff? We gotta shout out our sponsor, HelloFresh. So let's talk about HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. And let me tell you something. I love HelloFresh. I use it. Me and my family use it, especially having a baby right now. We don't always have the time to go out to a grocery store and go choose the products and choose what we want. So sometimes it's just easier just to do a door delivery like HelloFresh. Makes it simple as I told you. It gets right to your doorsteps. It's right in the freezer box. You bring it inside. It gives you the fresh ingredients, and you can choose anything that you want. You make your selections for the week, and there you go. You already know what you're going to eat for dinner. And look, there hasn't been one that I've disliked yet from HelloFresh. All right, so I recommend everybody out there go sign up and go get HelloFresh. And when you do, and if you use the promo code KFTV free, you get free breakfast as long as you're a subscriber. And what's wrong with that? Free breakfast? Or you're not only getting dinner, you're getting free breakfast? That's a lock. So make sure to use that promo code KFTV free. Go register for HelloFresh to make it easy on your lives, so that way you can have groceries shipped to your house and make cooking fun and easy. And free breakfast. I mean, that's my favorite meal of the day, Geoff. I don't know about you, but breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. Free breakfast. That sold right there. Sold.
I'm a tomatoes guy myself, so
Ah, okay. So I'm seeing you like the British style of breakfast. You like tomatoes with your beans and the eggs. And I'm sure you got a lot of tomatoes, man. So don't worry. You're not going to be running out of
that's
tomatoes
it.
for the rest of eternity. Actually, we should give you the promo code because you got enough tomatoes so far. So don't worry, man. You're all good. You're all locked in. All right, let's keep this thing rolling, though.
Alex, I don't know if we were gonna get to this at a separate point, so you let me know if we're gonna do this later. But I really want to talk RJ for a little bit.
Sure. What do you want to think? What do you want to talk about, RJ?
All right, man. Here's my thing, right? I don't want to kill the guy, RJ Barrett is a very young player that I still think has a solid trajectory in this league. Not great, but solid. Um, I was frustrated with him tonight, man. I texted you on the side before we got on the post game tonight, and I'm like, RJ is picking up Jalen Brunson 90 feet and guarding him full court. Like, where was this RJ when he was with the Knicks? Like, I was very, the man played. Emmanuel quickly played the way he's always played. Emmanuel quickly plays with a spirit and a certain grit that we are accustomed to seeing. Knicks fans did not see anything different from Emmanuel quickly tonight than they have in the previous years that he's been on the roster. But RJ Barrett, RJ Barrett was taking his defensive assignments personal, and he was guarding guys 90 feet. And, I was just, of course, listen, there's a certain emotion in revenge games, and you can't duplicate that necessarily in other situations. So, like, I get there's a human element to it, but I'm like, wait a minute, why didn't we see this RJ Barrett in previous games, in previous years? It feels like every other year we had, like, a good defensive year from RJ Barrett, then it would drop off. The shooting splits would be highly variable from different points in the year. And, I'm kind of sitting here being like, dude, if you played like that, they probably wouldn't have traded you before. But I don't know, Alex. I don't know what you thought of it, but I saw tonight and I'm kind of sitting there like, dude, like, why are you trying so hard now? Like, if you would have tried hard like this in previous, I don't know if we would have traded you.
I disagree with that. I think he tried pretty hard, man. I think RJ tried very hard while he was in New York Knicks. I think under how the team was constructed and the opportunities that you can get and what he was asked to do initially, he was asked, think about year 2, he was asked to guard probably the best. He was asked to guard the best perimeter player defensively on a nightly basis, and he did an okay job of that. That's not really his forte as being the best defender, but he took on that challenge and he tried his best. Third year, the team just, his third year where we had the thumbs down year and all that stuff, I don't, like, it was just a tough year because everything was led on Julius, and Julius didn't have a good season. He put up numbers but wasn't efficient. And so what are you going to ask from a player when your main cog offensively isn't giving what you need? So it's like in football, right? If you're not going to get the offense and you just got to put everything on the pressure of defense, it's not to turn. Now, last season, he did take a step back defensively, his season was all up and down, right? But he did show up in the playoffs, and I got to give him credit for that. And I'm a guy who's been critical of RJ on stuff that he needs to work on and stuff like that, but I would never say that he doesn't try. I would never say that he didn't put in the effort. I think when you watch a team like the Raptors, and it could be, that he's playing for his hometown, his home city, so it's a different emphasis on what that means to him than playing for the Knicks, even though he wanted to be a Knick. You even saw when he was on Jimmy Fallon, he picked up the Knicks hat, just like enticing by like, oh, I want to be a New York Knick. I think he always gave it his all, like offensively and defensively. He's just not a great defender, man. Tonight, even when he was guarding Brunson was still able to get his. Obviously, Brunson's in a different class than RJ, but RJ's also not this world-class defender, so I'm not expecting him to go out there and go be like, just like Kawhi Leonard or something like that, or even OG Anunoby. That's just not his role. So it's like even asking, you ask Julius to be a perfect defender? I wouldn't ask him to be that. I wouldn't ask Brunson to be a perfect defender. I think he goes out there and he gives out his best effort that he can be. He's more of an offensive-driven guy anyway, and that's why he looks better in the Raptors because, one, he's got the space to do so than everything else. And so I don't know, man. I wouldn't go to the extent that saying RJ, if he gave the same effort on the Knicks, that he would still be here. What OG does is just much more different than what RJ, and he even acknowledged that, where you're asking for him to be an effective 3-point shooter, which he's looking better right now, but he's not a guy that you could just camp in the corner. He needs to get into rhythm. He's a guy that needs touches and needs to feel like he's part of the offense, and he just wasn't that here. So he's now getting that opportunity in Toronto.
I hear that, man, but here's why I'm holding to my take. Like, RJ even said, there was some type of quote within the past couple of days, and he was like, I'm not that guy. I'm not going to camp in the corner. Like, I want to have freedom, blah, blah, blah. It's great that he has that with Toronto. But to me, it's like, why is it bad? I'm not saying that you're saying it's bad, but like, okay, he had to guard the most, potent offensive player his second year or whatever. Like, these are opportunities for you to grow as a player that I don't necessarily feel like he took advantage of fully. And the other piece of it is my thing is this: at some point, and I get it, he's 23, he's young, and he's still figuring out. But at some point, you have to realize when you're on a team with Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson that, you know what, dude, even though your game as constructed, yes, it's better if you have the ball in your hands and you're driving. You're not a guy that's going to succeed if you're just camped out on the wing. But you have to figure out how to fit, man. Like, if there's two guys on the team that are better at doing what you do than you, then you've got to figure out, okay, how do I make an impact? And whether that's defense or that's rebounding. I remember early on in RJ's career, really, really good rebounder for his position and size. And, even that kind of fell off a little bit. And then I felt like RJ towards the end of his Knicks career got into this mindset of, well, I see myself as a 20 to 25 point scorer. I'm going to train as such, and I'm going to be that guy. And you know what? We saw that in his game. We saw him take shots that I feel like were a little bit forced in the offense, were not within the flow. And, like you just made the point earlier, now that OG's here, things are moving much more freely.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. It's tough. Listen, at the end of the day, I wish the best for him. Like, there's no reason for me to wish ill on him. He's a good kid. But I do feel like he could have made a little bit better of his situation while he was here.
Hey, I think I'll agree to disagree, Geoff. I'll agree to disagree. So let's get back to the Discord, though. Stilico is on the line. Stilico, what's going on, man? How you feeling? What did you think about this game?
Listen, first and foremost, Jalen Brunson putting in work. Julius Randle, I'll get to him here in a second. But the first note, as the self-proclaimed mayor of the Discord, I gotta say, we were on another level making jokes about a certain white boy that plays on the Toronto Raptors.
Oh, good God.
I teach high school. We're talking that level. It was that bad.
Good God! All right, I had a feeling that even Clyde Frazier was enjoying.
I was on his Wild Boy stuff tonight, man.
Clyde was. I mean, if you were even checking out the play-by-play chat, you all were just letting it rip. That was out of control. But man, we're not going to talk about Grady, okay?
No. No, listen. All I have to say is, look, all we need to do to get to get Julius to where he needs to be is turn these turnovers down. Because other than that, tonight is the best version of Julius Randle. Yep. I get that 18 points isn't the sexiest thing in the world, especially from a guy who in previous seasons has given you 24 a game. But come on, man. 18, 10, and 10. It was 18, 16, and 10? But even if it was 18, 10, and 10, that's still unbelievably good numbers from your second best player to get in and day out. If we can somehow find a way to keep unlock that and keep that consistent, and I get that consistency with Randle is that's its own discussion, but this is the kind of Randle that we need on this team. Period.
Yeah, I mean, I like the efficiency from Julius as well tonight, but I think you're good. It's going to be tough for just Jalen to consistently drop 38 a night, and you're just going to see the ebbs and flows of just Jalen having it, Randle having it, and it's like tonight was just another night for Jalen, and obviously Jalen is typically on more. I'd say he's probably between the two, he's definitely the more consistent player when it comes to scoring. But you're still going to need Julius to I love the efficiency from Julius tonight. I love seeing these type of numbers, but I think it's going to be pretty tough just to ask for Julius on every single night just to drop 18, 20 points, 10 assists, and 16 boards and say that we're going to win like that. That's unless we're getting some great bench production, I don't think that's really sustainable.
Well, that's kind of what we're trying to do with our next move, though, right? Is we're trying to upgrade our bench production. I get that it's probably not going to be what it was when we had Quick, because Quick arguably is the best bench facilitator this side of Malcolm Brogdon. But if we can find someone that does that, and we can keep Julius at this level of production, like I get that it's probably not going to get us a chip, but like I'd be comfortable saying that that's a conference finals team. Triple double day in and day out would be unbelievably fantastic.
I mean, it's tough to do. That's why that's why when someone gets a triple double, it's like, yo, someone got a triple double. And I think this is Randall's 14th triple double that he got. I believe it was as a Nick.
Yeah, that was. I think they posted that.
Yeah. So, hey, it's tough to get a triple double, but you love to see the efficiency out of Randall. Statistical, before I let you go, who is the player that you want to see this Knicks team add, either coming off the bench or in the starting rotation? Is it DeJounte
Like, who
Murray?
do I want him to go get? Yeah, okay. Couple points on that. I have two people personally for me. I know I was on here talking about go get DeJounte Murray, and that's probably still the main guy.
Yeah.
But I'd be and there's really no specifically bad option, I think, other than maybe Clarkson, just because I think Utah is asking for way too much for him.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick my second option, it would be Burks, because I think if we do a trade with Detroit, we can probably find a way to snag another player off of them. And they've got a number of good players that are just not getting minutes on that team or being underutilized in the minutes that they have. And so if we can find a way to get, one or two players, or maybe an extra player is what I meant to say, off of Detroit, like, I don't know, maybe like a pipe dream get Jaden Ivey.
Mm-hmm.
But if we could get a second guy in a deal with Detroit, that would probably be what I would do, just because they've got so many good guys that are going to be kind of sold on the low just because of how awful that Detroit team is.
Okay. Stilico, appreciate the call, man. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you for calling in. And so there you have it, Geoff. Stilico's looking for he's looking to either go to Detroit. DeJounte Murray is obviously his top choice, but he said possibly go to Detroit, get Burks, and see if you can go get another young guy in a deal, and then bring them to the New York Knicks. What would you like to see? Are you even concerned about the bench moving forward, or do you think the Knicks should stay packed where they are?
This is how I feel. I feel that if the Knicks don't make a move, I'm okay with it. I know that, again, there's probably going to be a lot of people that don't feel the same. But for me, it's all about the price of doing business, because ultimately my eyes are on the summer and a potential move that we can make for someone who really, really moves the needle, And I'm not saying DeJounte Murray doesn't, but I just think that the price of doing business for him, it's going to be too much, man. And I don't know that the ceiling of our team is going to be increased that much by giving away picks and players. And by the way, you're shifting your team, you're trading away players, and you're shaking the dynamic of your team again in the same season, and then figuring out how to play with OG and DeJounte and the players that are left. That's not easy, man. We're very lucky that this trade with OG has worked out like very seamlessly in 10 games, right? We're 8-2 in 10 games, and OG doesn't look like there's any issues with how he plays and how it meshes with Julius and Jalen, right? So that's fine. I don't think that the same can be said for DeJounte Murray. I actually don't mind Jordan Clarkson at all. I know the previous caller didn't like him too much, but he has a 2-year extension. The money is not that big. I think it's like $14 million per year. Listen, I like Alec Burks a lot. If Alec Burks came back here, and I know a lot of people love to clown point guard Burks, this, blah, blah, blah. I think Alec Burks on this team with this compilation of players would be great, and I hope that the asking price would not be that big. I personally would rather target players that don't require us to give up a lot of players and or picks, that can just kind of improve along the margins for this season. And then this summer is ultimately when we make our big, push all your chips into the middle move. So I'm not in favor of going after DeJounte Murray. I don't mind Clarkson. I mean, it just depends on what you're asking for him. But I would go for Burks of those three.
So you go for Burks, you said. So according to Mark Stein, right, through his newsletter that he has through Substack, he mentioned that the Knicks are interested in Jordan Clarkson, Terry Rozier, Malcolm Brogdon, and Alec Burks. So you're going with Alec Burks. Obviously, there's some interest in DeJounte Murray as well, but what was it? The word is that the Knicks don't want to. They're not in a rush yet after the OG trade, so they're waiting. They're waiting it out and seeing if the cost will lower. But you're going with Burks.
I mean, Brogdon's good too, by the way. I literally just watched him last night play the Pacers. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Pacers can't guard anybody, but he looked very good. So I wouldn't mind him either. It's just like, again, man, like, I think we all have to think like it's easy to sit here and say like, yeah, wow, player X would look great on the Knicks. But it's all about the price of doing business. Like, what does it cost to bring that player, and how does it affect your future ability to get more players on this team? Because every Knicks fan, no matter how much we love this team, can agree we're not a championship contender. I'm sorry, DeJounte Murray does not make us a championship contender.
Really, you don't think DeJounte would make us a championship contender?
No.
Why not? Well, why not?
Man, first off, the man takes the majority of his shots in the mid-range.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a decent defender. I think he's a little bit of an overrated defender. I think people are like really like, oh, the length, like he's such a great defender. Like, I think he's solid, but I don't think he's great. And I don't know, man. Like, I like him. I just don't love him. Don't get me wrong. I think there's good positional versatility in the sense that, okay, you put him in the starting lineup, and then you put Dante in the second unit. Now that's really good. I think that's good because right now our depth is a little bit rough. But overall, like how that plays out in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, I don't love it, man. I really don't love it. I don't think if we're paying Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, and DeJounte Murray the most money on our team, I don't think that team is gonna be able to compete with Boston or Milwaukee. I just don't.
You don't even think for this season. Let's just say because the Knicks were reported looking for a team, and shout out to Fred Katz. You know, when you think about looking for somebody who Tibbs could trust, a player that plays defense, a player that has a long enough contract that's still movable, like he kind of fits all those categories. I think he's good enough. Like we've seen him hit game winners. I know you just can't go off of game winners, but I think with the defense at the guard position, I think he is a good perimeter defender. I don't think you would see that in Atlanta just because the entire team. You just won't see it on Atlanta because the entire team is woeful on defense. Like they're one of the worst teams to play defense. And I know we see OG who can just transform a defense, but you also got to give credit to like iHeart and others who are doing a solid job as well.
Agreed.
I think if you get DeJounte here, especially with this catch and shoot number, shooting 38% off of catch and shoot threes, you see how he's able to attack out transition. You need a guy who can lead the bench. You can stagger him and Brunson. I don't think Trae Young is an easy guard to play with because he's so heavy,
ball dominant
that you got to allow DeJounte to do some work as well. I think there could be some mix and match between Brunson and Murray. I would be for it, man. I'd be for seeing Murray in a Knicks uniform. I think he'd help this season. I think he'd help compete this season. Whether or not he's a long tenured Knick, I think it's a good enough investment to say, hey, and I know the concern. Like I don't really like thinking that you can get someone here that you're good enough and then you can go flip them for the next spot. I know you got to think like that when you're in the front office Because to me, it's like I go back with the analogy of like fantasy football. It's like, oh, I'll draft like 3 quarterbacks and I'll trade somebody like a quarterback and then I'll get something good in return. But then next thing you know, the team you got to do a business with is not the team you want to do business with.
Right.
So I get that thought, but at the same time, I think if you still get DeJounte Murray on the Knicks, it's competitive enough for the years to come, and then maybe something else can come up down the line, whether it be even if it's not Donovan Mitchell, maybe there's another course of action you can take with another team. I think he's still a talented enough player that he would help this team compete.
Here's my question then. So, Alex, how many picks are you willing to trade for DeJounte Murray?
Well, they wanted, for according to reports, it's Kevin O'Connor, it's 2 first-rounders. I'd do 2 first-rounders. We got a bevy of picks that we're not going to all use.
So you want 2 first-rounders, you want 2 unprotected, or you want
Well, that's the question, right? We don't know if they're going to be unprotected or not. If it's 2 Knicks unprotected, that's a little steep. But I mean, at the same time, is it steep if you're competing? If it's like next year and the 2 years after that, and the Knicks are still good, it's going to be in the low 20s, maybe even 30.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like at the end of the day, you could do what the Bucks did, say top 4 protected and whatnot. But if like the team's good and you got to project where the team will be in those few years, if it's an unprotected pick and you're expected to be good, I can go take that risk though. So I'm for it. I'm all for it.
I would just be interested to see and again, like it's really hard to have this conversation because we don't know what's going to be available in the summer. But I just would be so interested to see okay, what would the price of DeJounte Murray be now as opposed to another player who we might want in the summer? Listen. Who knows? Donovan Mitchell, right? Like I don't know, but what would be potentially available? The Utah Jazz? No, I'm sorry. The Cleveland Cavaliers gave up 6 picks for him, 3 unprotected and 3 protected for him. So I don't. Yeah, I mean it's a conversation to have for sure.
Definitely a conversation to have. Salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another KFTV Postgame Live. I'm your host, Alex Trataros. With me on the other side is Geoff Campbell, my guy. He's still my guy, even though I disagree about Trae Young and who should be the starter and the all-star. Oh, look, you're still getting tomatoes in this chat. Man, now you're getting pizza, man. You're getting some delivery. You're getting delivery to the door. And some high-heel shoes? What's happened over here? This is crazy. Shout out to Chuck D. Throw a hashtag PE into the chat. $20 super chat from Chuck D. He says, Clyde said tonight he began as Walt Frazier, wasn't overnight, right system and key changes, and trade helped create a superstar in New York basketball any era. Same game, same city, same team. Brunson is becoming like Willis and Clyde. I like that. And then Chuck sent another $20 super chat. Shout out to you again, Chuck. Trae Young simply doesn't make his teammates better. No way should Murray be available. Also, Tibbs is 66. He is not trying to make the 90s Knicks. He is implementing a modern 69-70 blueprint a la Phil Jackson. The blind can see it.
See, that's
even
really...
Chuck doesn't agree with Trae Young.
No, Alex. I was just gonna tell you, when Chuck D comes at you and says, yo, you need to chill out. So
it looks like you need to chill out, my man.
I'm gonna relax. Okay.
There we go. Geoff is now starting to see the light. Thank you. Now we got French fries in the chat. Man, where's CP? CP could have had his headset and started delivering you some fast food, man.
What's he doing? He's still in the garden.
Yeah, he's probably still out.
He's taking free throws. He's taking free throws right now.
Actually, he said no. He's not doing free throws tonight. He said he's putting it on the back burner. He said he's not doing that tonight. So look, man, he made his last free throw. He wants to have a good record. He doesn't want to break the good vibes. We all know why CP's not taking a free throw. You ain't lying to us, man. You ain't lying to us. But let's get back to the Discord, all right? We got Trimecca on the line. Trimecca, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Alex? Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, I can hear you. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing, man?
I'm feeling all right. What'd you think about this game?
Hey, man, I'm happy, man. I'm happy that RJ and Quick found a nice home in Toronto. I mean, I think it's a much better fit for them. First of all, I did want to just congratulate you holding it down every time CP ain't there. So shout out to you, Alex.
Appreciate it, man.
As a Knicks fan and channel supporter for a while, I don't call in often, but I've seen your growth and development, man. And I just want to congratulate you on holding it down for us.
Appreciate it, man.
But yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah, RJ, man. it pissed me off a little bit that he wanted to pick up full court. It's like, what you doing, RJ? and then he still got
That's
cooked
what I'm
anyways.
saying.
He was going under the screens, and Brunson was
You
just
know he's
boom,
not doing
dotting
that
him up.
every night, though. You know he's not doing that every night. You know he's just doing it just
Yeah,
because he's
he's
back
trying
at
to show out.
MSG.
He's trying to show out. He's trying. But every time I saw RJ spin into the lane and brick his little middies, I'm like, man, I think we got the better deal of the trade. I used to hate when he bricked those middies. I never seen somebody miss so bad on like a short shot. RJ is famous for bricking those middies, man. But I'm really gonna miss Quick. You know, I think he can reach his full potential in Toronto. He would never do it behind Brunson. So I'm kind of happy that he got a new home. And I'm also happy for us because, like another caller said, OG, triple OG, he's the man. You know, it's exactly what we needed. I did want to get on Geoff for a second, just put some context. I know I don't want to overdo it, but the whole Brunson, the
No, man.
whole trade.
No. Let him hear it, man. Let him hear about the Trae Young
Yeah,
discussion.
man. I mean, he does average 27 and 11, but he shoots 42% from the field. Look at the highest scores in the NBA right now. His field goal percentage is way worse. He's a volume shooter who has bad efficiency. He turns the ball over a lot, and he spams pick and roll. That's how he gets a lot of assists, because he's lobbing it up to Clint Capella. He doesn't make his teammates better. He shoots 35% from three. Jalen Brunson shooting 42% from three. Come on, man. He just shoots a lot, and that's
Hold on.
and
Let me ask you a quick question. So
go
you
ahead.
feel that same way about Luka or no?
Luka's team is winning.
No, I understand what you're saying, but in
And he
terms
doesn't
of
shoot
percentages,
42% from the field, though. From
I
three,
feel
yeah.
you.
But I'm
No,
talking about
no,
from the
but I
field.
feel you. But there was a couple of seasons. I forget where there was a couple of seasons. The thing is this: with Trae Young and Luka, they're high volume shooters. So
Yeah.
the percentage is not always going to be that great, but the threat of them shooting is sometimes almost as
But
dangerous
Luka's
as
never
them
close to
hitting you.
42% from the field. He's 50 from the field and like 33 from three. He doesn't shoot great
No,
from
no,
three, but from the
I
field,
no,
he's
no.
hot.
I understand. I understand the overall field goal percentage, but that 3-point percentage, like I'm saying, as a guy that puts it up a lot, you would think he'd be a little bit higher. It's not necessarily the case, but I don't think that detracts from as how good of a player he is. I mean, listen,
If
dude, listen. Here's the thing: we're talking to Knicks fans, and I'm one of them, right? And
yeah.
listen, it's Trae Young is persona non grata. Like I get it, but the dude is very special. Like, don't get me
No,
wrong,
he's
like.
good.
You have to build the team specifically around him because he is so ball dominant. And I will agree with you that here's the thing. This is what Jalen Brunson does better. He is a better intangibles player. He takes charges. He's a better leader. It seems like he has a good control of the locker room. It seems like people like him better. We have
Mhm.
not heard reports of players having beef with him like we have with Trae Young
I
and John Collins
I
before
think
John
you're
Collins
arguing against
got
yourself, man.
no, don't get no. Here's my thing. No. Hold up. The conversation. I'm always going to be objective, so I'm always going to say it both ways. I do believe Trae Young should probably start. I'm not saying he's a better player than Jalen Brunson, but when it comes to an all-star starter, that criteria is not necessarily about who's the better player.
Okay, the only reason he should be an all-star starter because he's more popular. He's not having a better season, though. As long as we know
His
that.
team is not having a better season, but individually, I would think you would have a hard time saying that he's not having a better season.
Nah, he's not. You got to have efficiency with the numbers, man. Jalen
Okay.
Brunson is very efficient and all the other intangibles that you mentioned. But let me get on to the rest of my call because I don't want to take up too much of y'all time. About who we should acquire as Knicks fan. I mean, if Bruce Brown was auditioning for the job tonight, we need to leave him in Canada. he had brick hands tonight. He reminded me of No Hands Nerlens Noel. He couldn't. Maybe he needs to reach out to Cody Glock because he needs some manscape so he can take better care of his balls. You feel me? Shout out to Cody Glock. No testimonials. Pause. I think we need to go low risk, man. So I'm with like Alec Burks. If we can get him, nothing too major that puts us into any type, limits our capabilities in the summer. So I would go for DeJounte Murray if he's available because he's a tradable asset. Even if we get him right now, things don't work out. We could always get back something for him. Even if we give up 2 picks right now, at the least we'd get back at least 1. So we'll give up we got 2 first-round picks this summer. When we get Dallas and we got ours. Give up one of those and a future one, and we'd at least get back one if we need to package him in a future trade to get the real star. So I'm with DeJounte Murray or any other smaller move that doesn't limit us for a future star. But besides that, man, I appreciate y'all. Jeff, Alex, man, y'all hold it down for the night. Muhammad from Dallas, I'm out.
Muhammad from
Later,
Dallas,
sir.
shout out to you, man. Appreciate you
Appreciate
for
you.
calling in. All right. Woo, he was ready. He was ready for you, Jeff. He said, no.
Listen.
We are not doing this. All right.
Listen,
Where else?
Alex,
Hold
Alex,
on. Hold on.
I
Where
love
else
these
can you
calls.
tune in? Where else can you tune in and get an impromptu battle of the fans? That's what we just had tonight. Jeff
For the
going against
fans,
Muhammad from Dallas. That's what we like to see. All right. There we go. There we go. What's up, Jeff?
No, man, listen, Muhammad, look, he brought it, man. He has great points. At the end of the day, like, I'm never going to sit here and say, I'm never going to sit here and say I'm infallible, right? I have an opinion, I have a take, and I support it. But if someone comes on here and says something that, Muhammad just brought up some really good points. I like what he said. I like what he said.
And it seems like everyone else in the chat is like what Muhammad said. So for everyone in the chat, please rate Muhammad's call. 5 being facts, 1 being trash. Let us know what you thought about Muhammad's takes. And you can even rate. We'll give you even, you know what? Actually, we'll even take it even further. Give us also the rating about the debate between Jeff. Was he right? 5s for right, 1 for wrong. You can add that too. You can add that as well. So let's actually go for, let's go. Oh my God, we're going back to the tomato. We're breaking tomato records on the show, man. I have never seen tomatoes.
They're never gonna allow me on
this
this
show.
They're never gonna allow me on this post game show after this, man.
Man, good God. But you know what? Both of you guys talking about numbers. So let's go to the key stats of the night, presented by Underdog Fantasy. All right, make sure to use that promo code KFTV to get up to a $100 match. Jeff, tonight, easy for the New York Knicks. They shot, compared to the Toronto, they shot 54.5% from the field. They hit 16 out of their 20 free throws. They shot 14 out of 39 from downtown. They out-rebounded the ball against the Toronto Raptors, 61-31. Points in the paint, they demolished the Raptors as well, 64-50. They just did everything better than a Toronto Raptors tonight. It was quite a night for the New York Knicks, just taking the food from Toronto. They turned them into poutine, man. I know that's what Canadians like out there. They turned these bunch of Raptors into poutine. What do you think? What are some of the key stats from this game that you're taking away?
I mean, listen, the Knicks are a really good rebounding team in general, so it's not uncommon to see them dominate. I mean, by 30 rebounds, yeah, I mean that's pretty impressive.
30 rebounds.
Points in the paint is great, just because like we don't have like great centers. Isaiah Hartenstein has filled in more than admirably for Mitchell Robinson, who's also not like a post guy that's going to get you a lot of points in the paint. He'll get them off lobs, but even when he was healthy, he wasn't getting a ton of lobs. But the fact that we're, again, OG coming here, the driving lanes are open. Jalen and Julius are going frequently, and they're finishing efficiently. That's where our points in the paint are coming from. Dante DiVincenzo is driving the baseline. He's cutting. OG is cutting. And that's where we're winning in that situation. And I thought the first quarter was really important because the Raptors, to me, actually, they ran a better floor game than the Knicks. The Raptors came out with high energy, and the Knicks came out with okay energy. It wasn't great, but they were hitting threes at a pretty decent clip. But the Raptors were just kind of slicing the Knicks pick and roll coverage by just executing like a very simple bounce pass to the roll man, and then the roll man would either drive or hit somebody on the wing, and Grady Dick, Clyde Frazier's favorite player, was hitting threes at a pretty serious clip. So that was definitely a thing. But the Knicks finally rotated a little bit better, and they figured out how to defend it, and they realized that they just have better players, and they just kind of took over from there.
For sure. I mean, the only thing I say I dislike from this game is that you had the fast break points that were just so lopsided. 21 for the Toronto Raptors, 11 for the New York Knicks, and all 21 of them. All 21 came in the first half for the Toronto Raptors, but this is a team that also thrives in transition. Like I said, for a young team, A young team that thrives is because young teams thrive, I should say, because they like to get out and run. They have the athleticism, they have the energy. But you saw once it got to the half court, it got a little dicey out there. Although quickly was putting on a passing clinic for quite some time in this game. But hey, Knicks were able to win. Knicks dominated most of the stats. That's what you like to see. And like I said, this is the key stats in the night presented by Underdog Fantasy. And everyone out there, let me tell you about Underdog Fantasy, okay? I love this app, man. It's so much fun. I did a draft tonight. I put in two tickets. I've been having so much fun using this app, and I highly recommend that you either download the app or go to the website underdogfantasy.com and make sure if it's your first time, use that promo code KFTV to get up to a $100 match. And Geoff, let me just go over my selections tonight, man, because that was difficult. That was a difficult. Oh wait, hold on. Where's my draft? Where's my draft? I gotta talk about my draft, but I gotta go to the picks first.
You're gonna find it.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it. My selections for tonight did not hit, but you know what? I'll gladly take the win over some of these. But I was close, man. I was close. I had my first one was Dante DiVincenzo for higher than 3.5 first quarter points because usually he gets involved in the offense first, along with Julius in the first quarter. He had 3, didn't get 4, which I needed. I thought he'd at least get one more shot that would drain. Didn't get that. I did hit on the Julius. I took the spicy higher than 0.5 double-doubles. I did get the double-double ticket, so I would have had a nice payout. But then I took OG Anunoby because I thought he was going to make some three-pointers. I thought he would at least make 3 to go higher than 2. He didn't. Hartenstein, they got injured, which threw everything off for me. I just needed Hartenstein in this one. And then RJ Barrett for having higher than 5 first quarter points. So I didn't do well with my pick'ems. But there is a draft that's going on. And I don't know where it is right now because I did do a draft. I have no idea where it went. And I'm looking for it because it's me and CP that did a draft tonight. And I'm trying to see these results. Here we go. Let's see. I won. Look at that. I won tonight.
Hey.
That's why I like to talk. That's what I like to see. Finally, defeating CP. Finally defeating CP. That's what you like to see, man. That's what I like to see. Jalen Brunson, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Donovan Mitchell, Cat, Ant-Man, doing in work. That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see, man. So make sure to download the app Underdog Fantasy. You can do drafts. We've been having fun doing drafts. Fun doing pick'ems. And like I said, use that promo code KFTV to get up to a $100 match. All right. Back to the show. So we talked about potential trade targets to help strengthen this bench. Talked about iHeart's injury. Talked about the good night from Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. What else is there to discuss, man? What else is there to discuss?
We could talk about Precious Achiuwa, I guess. I don't know.
I guess we could talk about Precious for a hot second because he did have a double-double tonight. He did get his revenge game. That's how you really know it's a good night, man. Precious comes out here, even though iHeart went down, Precious comes out here, plays 25 minutes, goes 9 of 10 from the field, gets 11 boards and 18 points. This is where you know the Knicks were coasting to the end.
In complete control.
Yeah, for sure. So Precious did his thing out there. Man, just a good game from the Knicks, man. Just a really good game from the Knicks.
Alex, let me ask you a quick question, man. So, I don't know if I'm just if I'm holding the Knicks to too high of a standard, because there's been a lot of stats that have been going around. Oh, the OG plus minus since he's been on the team. The Knicks starting lineup since he's been on the team, and obviously the Knicks win by 26 tonight. But I don't know if you feel the same, but I didn't feel great about the game tonight. Obviously we win by 26, you should feel great about it, and we clearly dominated from the second half on. But I don't know. There's things, including the turnovers and some of the offensive processing and a little bit of the defensive intensity that kind of struggles with me a little bit. We've been playing teams that are not great. And I wonder how that's going to translate when we start playing teams that are above 500. I don't know what you feel about, these last couple of games or so. If you feel like, oh well, this is this Knicks team, and we're gonna play this way when we play the Heat in an upcoming week or so, or the Nuggets that are, we're gonna be playing them as well. I don't know. What do you think?
If anything, I'm confident in the starters. I am terrified on the bench.
Right.
So the Knicks need to make a move.
Right.
And I think this is where I'm fine with DeJounte Murray. This is where I want someone like, really my guy is Colin Sexton. That's the guy who I'd really like to see on this team because I think he would fit. And if you can get Kelly Olynyk over here.
Remember when I was like, oh, who are you talking about? That's the guy that you were talking about.
Yeah. No, that's the guy I would love to see in a Knicks uniform. If you get somebody like that who can come off the bench and add a little bit more scoring in what we need, I'd feel confident with this team really in the playoffs. But the issue right now is that, like, unlike tonight where the starters were able to get some rest and not have to play upwards of like high 30s or go into the 40s amount of minutes, like that's not really sustainable for the rest of the season to keep these guys fresh, ready for the playoffs. So when you got to play teams like Denver, Miami, even Indiana, Philly, Boston, these are teams that, have, well, outside of the Celtics don't have depth either. But, when you talk about thinking about who you got to keep with and keeping your guys fresh to get to that postseason to actually say, oh, I could see this working out. Like, you need to have more bench scoring. You need to have some guys you can rely on. And until that gets resolved, whether that is like getting someone like a Malcolm Brogdon, maybe an Alec Burks, just something along those lines, a Jordan Clarkson, Terry Rozier. If you get one of those guys, then I could say, okay, we at least have some depth, especially next to Josh Hart. Because, when you go to the playoffs, you have your 7 to 8 guys.
Right.
And we don't have 7 or 8 guys I could say we're good. So until that changes, like, I like this team. I like the trajectory of this team. I think the starters will keep up with anybody. I think they can keep up with anybody. I think what they did to Philly should be, a wake-up call. Even what they did to Minnesota. First time OG's in a Knicks uniform, and you see how they're just able to compete with one of the best teams in the West. I think you can believe in the Knicks saying that they are right there. But you can't just put all the onus on the starters. You need some bench help. So until that, it's TBD, man. It's TBD for me. But Let's get back to the score. We got some more callers. We got Austin calling in. Austin, what's going on? Unmute your mic. What's going on?
What's good, Alex? How are you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing? What'd you think about this game tonight?
Well, it's obviously a very emotional game. It was good to see RJ and Quick go off. Like, you knew that the Knicks were gonna come in feeling strong.
Mm-hmm.
I was just surprised, but I was kind of shocked when I saw iHeart hurt. It's kind of going to be tough seeing Precious and Jericho play now, because who else do the Knicks got to go as a backup option?
Yeah, you're going to be riding with Precious and Sims for a little bit. So, especially if iHeart misses multiple games, hopefully it's just a tweak and he can just get back out there the next game. We're playing the Brooklyn Nets, so you probably don't need him for that. You probably got enough, even if you go out there with Precious or even Sims going against Nick Claxton. The Brooklyn Nets have just not looked great this season, so they've been underachieving. So maybe you rest iHeart that game, but you'll definitely need him back for Denver and Miami coming up.
Yeah, I think these next 2 games against Denver and Miami are like barometer games where you kind of see like what they really need and then what moves they can make. Because if they play well, you might not need much. If they play really bad, you might think, oh, DeJounte Murray is definitely what you might need.
Mm-hmm.
I got one more question for you. So,
sure,
like, Tibbs, he's been doing really strong, but with the way he plays his guys and with the amount of rest that he gives his players, do you think he's the coach for a championship run?
Appreciate the call, Austin. Thank you for calling in. Do I think Tom Thibodeau is the coach for a championship run? I always thought that it's probably gonna be somebody else, man. I'll stay to this day. I think Tibbs is a good foundation setter. I think when you get to those elite level coaching, You're going to need somebody who's a little bit more creative offensively to take it to that next step. That's just me. But what Tibbs has done is you can't diminish what Tom Thibodeau has done as a head coach for the New York Knicks. He's done a good job to put him back in a respectable place, creating a culture, creating an identity for a team. They're tough, they're gritty, they play solid defense. But I think when it gets down to the end of the day, like what you need moving forward, I think you're gonna need a little bit more creativity, and that's what you kind of like. Of course, you're gonna need the guy. So he's not leaving until you get the guy, and can he coach the guy to be like, whether that is Brunson, maybe you get somebody else. But when he has his team, like his full set team of everybody that he needs and competing every year, where that team is legitimately a championship contender, right? Then it will be that determination on start. That will be his time where it starts ticking, unless like things go completely awry and things just go south. Yeah, Tibbs. I don't know, man. I don't know if we're friends. We haven't met yet, man. We haven't met, but I know you've been putting in good work, bro. You've been putting in good work. But I think that what Tibbs has done, good job. But I still think you need some offensive creativity. I still think you need somebody else. Like even when it comes to defensive schemes, like collapsing the paint and protecting the paint when you're going against a good 3-point shooting team is not really the greatest move. Like those are like, of course, no coach is perfect. But could he end up like a Mike Budenholzer and win a championship with the Knicks? Potentially, but I think it might be another person. I think there is like, at some point, as we've seen with all teams, even with how great Brad Stevens was for the Celtics and how everyone praised him, like at some point, some teams need a different voice in the room. And maybe that might be that. Maybe that I do believe that might be Tibbs' case, is that they might need a new name in the room. But for the time being, he is going to be the head coach. This team is just rolling right now. He's getting his guys. Like the team is being built for him. I mean, you just see how this team is being moved. Like they're moving off young guys. You hear Grimes is in the rumor mill right now for potentially being moved. And we don't have RJ. We don't have Quick. We don't have Obi. Like it's showing you that Knicks are in win now contention. They're bringing in everyone that we call a Tibbs guy. So he clearly has a lot of say within the organization. And moving forward, this is going to be his team moving forward until he shows that he can't take this team to the promised land, which we'll see what happens.
Would you give him an extension?
Yeah, I would give him an extension. Like I don't think you're not at the point. I know some people are in the chat are gonna be like, but you definitely you can give him an extension. I wouldn't say it's gonna be like, a crazy long extension, but if you wanted to give him an extension, you can give him an extension. I don't necessarily think you need to give him an extension. Personally, I think you could let his deal run out until next year. I think it all depends on how this year ends. Like if they overachieve again, like say if the Knicks do go to the Eastern Conference Finals, then I think you got to say he's deserving of an extension, like before even next year starts. But let's say you get to the second round. Let's say you get swept in the second round, right? I don't think that deserves an extension. I think you got to show like last year, like maybe that's extension worthy. If it was like the second to his last year deal and we saw like a team consistently like move up, go through the first round a couple times, and you start seeing that progression. But I don't think the Knicks need to be in a rush to give him an extension now. But I do think he'll probably get an extension. Yeah. So let's see. Let's go back to the Discord. We got Josh Sal on the line. Josh Sal, you're closing us out tonight, man. What's going on? What do you think about this game?
Am I even? Oh, what's up, guys? I'm very happy about this. I'm doing good. I'm very happy about this win tonight. We had to verse our boys, but it was a little sad, but we still got the dub. But I just got a question for y'all. So, as a team, we've been looking to make that championship run. And do you think a guy like Jordan Clarkson, should we be making that trade? What's your guys' opinions on that? And
should we make a trade for Jordan Clarkson?
With that, who should we give up?
All right. Appreciate the call, Josh Sal. Appreciate the call. So should we make the trade for Jordan Clarkson, and who should we give up? I think it's Fournier and a few picks. I don't think you need to go any more than that for Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, but my thing is, I like Jordan Clarkson. I think Jordan Clarkson could be a great revelation for this team. I like the contract. Again, it's like 2 years. It's decent money. It's movable. Yeah, man, I agree with Alex too. Like, it's Fournier and maybe it's Fournier, Grimes, and a pick, or maybe it's Fournier and a couple of protected picks. I don't know. I would rather not give an unprotected pick, but Jordan Clarkson could be a really, really good player for this team. But again, to the caller original point, the funny thing is, like, for what Jordan Clarkson brings, I think Alec Burks also brings, but for a lesser price. So that's why I might target Burks over Clarkson. But if the Knicks got Jordan Clarkson, I mean, it would be, this team would be, I think your ceiling, you'd have to start talking minimum top 3, top 4 seed, and you'd have to say this team could make it to the Eastern Conference Finals for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for Clarkson, like, that's why I said I want Colin Sexton. That's why I did Colin Sexton and Kelly Olynyk trade. Clarkson, definitely, he's a chuck. He can get his buckets or he can go ice cold. He'll definitely will have you pulling your hair out on a nightly basis. And I understand why you go with Burks in that instance too. And that's probably where the Knicks would go. They probably would go with Burks just because familiarity with Tibbs' offense and stuff like that. But I can also see going with Clarkson because you want somebody younger and they're similar. The only issue is, as you pointed out, is going to be the cost for somebody like Clarkson. But that's why there's like, this is where like all the names between Rozier, Brogdon, like there's no necessarily perfect fit for what you want. That's why fans are wanting DeJounte Murray, and I totally understand that. That's why I totally understand that. But hey, that's the show. Let's wrap it up there. Thank you all for tuning in for another KFTV post game live. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. All right. Make sure to share these videos to your friends, your family members, whoever it may be. All right. Let them know about KFTV. Support the movement. That's all we're asking for. It's easy to do, simple, free. Hit that like button and subscribe. Hey, if you also want to show that you did not agree with Geoff's takes today about Trae Young, hit that like button, okay? Hit that like button and show me that you didn't agree with Geoff talking about Trae Young being better than Jalen Brunson. Hit that like button. And make sure to support our sponsors. Make sure to support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, using that promo code KFTV to get up to a $100 match. And make sure to use that promo code KFTV free for HelloFresh to get free breakfast once you subscribe to getting HelloFresh, all right? And look, if you can't tune in live, you can always find us on any audio listening platform, on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your audio listening podcasts. And last and certainly not least, make sure to support KnicksFanTV.com. It's where Geoff and a bunch of other great writers go contribute. So make sure to support them as well. And yeah, that's it. Salute to Knicks Nation. Salute to everyone tuning in here. Salute to all the franchise channel members. All right, we'll catch you for next time, whether it be weekly or another post-game live. All right, everyone, we out.